other weapons, and we have had this conversation on a number of other weapons as well. The way we need new weapons and the way the timeline for their procurement and all that. In that, do you believe that this particular wing, that is sniping, the sniper rifles, the need for them, was something which was realized a bit late? In 2018, the DSC approving something for 5,000 odd sniper rifles, and we have the 90s vintage, rather 1963 model of Dragunov.
No, Vishal, this first of all, I have heard this first time in 2010 that we are looking for sniper rifles, sometime in 2010. Now, before that also there was some talk earlier, but it didn't materialize. In 2012, we had another RFI for sniper rifles, didn't materialize. Now we are again looking at the sniper rifles, but this time I reckon they are much more serious because the threat across the LOC, and as I told in the earlier segment, that probably the militants also now have a sniper rifle. So you now have to retort back with a sniper rifle. You cannot, because the range of the sniper rifle is such, it's what, 800 yards, 900 yards, 1 kilometer. And the AK-47 which you are using does not have that kind of range. So before you get close, the sniper has a shot at you. So the seriousness is coming from that. Secondly, when we talk of timelines, Vishal, yesterday I was looking at some data. The government allocates around 17% of the country's entire budget, the entire expenditure of the government, 17% of it goes to the Ministry of Defence. Now, large part of it, Vishal, goes to administrative issues. The capital is around 94,000 crores. It is distributed evenly because we have vast threats. We have huge threats at the sea, in the land borders, in the air borders. Sniper rifles, I reckon, were figuring very low down in the pecking order. They have been ticked up by a few notches, and that is why the seriousness has come in, Vishal. Okay,
General Bhatia, that ticking up in the pecking order by a few notches is something maybe due to the recent incidents as well, but overall, in the overall operations, because you've held coveted posts like DGMO, where does the specialized, trained soldiers like snipers figure in the scheme of things? Only at the borders or in some other ways as well? There are some other means in which they can be utilized?
The RFA as of 2012 was the DG infantry that time, before the DGMO, and that is 2011-12 when we asked for a replacement of the sniper rifle. So it's been going on.
Of the 7.62 mm
Dragunov. Dragunov is a good weapon. It served its purpose, and we have to move ahead. And snipers are actually very, I must tell you, sniper training is very rigorous, very, very rigorous. And we have, let's say, 8 snipers authorized by infantry battalion. And these snipers are trained, day in and day out. They're specialists. They're the best in the unit. They're selected. It is not only that they're marksmen, they have to have the patience. Because sniping is concentration, patience. They remain focused. They got to keep their mind totally empty of other things other than their task.
Maybe sometimes hold their breath as well.
Yes, absolutely.
While taking the shot.
While taking the shot, they cannot be. He cannot miss. He has to have 100% certainty of that fleeting opportunity coming. It's not the target is going to shoot. And not only that, he has to remain hungry. He has to, function in a bunker which is restricted space, where the insects, there are mosquitoes, and he can't be moving and he's taking a shot. So that sort of training has to be there, and he has to, maybe he's out, he's concealing himself, he's camouflaged, and for hours on end, he just has to stay there without any movement, without giving up his position, because movement gives a position. So sniper training, I think, is exceedingly important, and the Indian Army's snipers are very, very good, and I have no doubts that they can deliver. But what is lacking is, we all know, we lack a modern sniper rifle. We have to shift from 7.62 to 8.6 mm. The reason is, it has to stand off. We have to be better than our adversaries, especially in the LC. Even if I don't use it, they should know that I have a better standoff. Today we're looking at ranges of 2,000 meters. Presently we have 800 meters. So I'm looking at 2,200 meters. So if I have a range of 2,000 meters, I may not use it at 2,000 meters. I can use it from anything from 400 to 2,000 meters. But I need a standoff weapon on snipers. Because only if I have standoff capability will I be able to deter the adversary. Okay. And, if you look at the dynamics of the line of control, because line of control is a daily need. War is is definitely a primary need, but there's a daily need. Both the armies have 4 tasks on the LC, as I put it. One is ensure the sanctity of the LC. That's common to both. The second is defenses. The third is moral ascendancy, common to both. And the fourth, of course, is where the defense comes in. Whereas we are in the counter-infiltration to the LC fence, Pakistan is the pushing infiltrators. Okay, so that's the difference. So when I say moral ascendancy, what does moral ascendancy entail? It entails Our demonization has to be better, our drills have to be better, and our destruction capability has to be better, whether destroy or not.
Okay.
And for that, I think snipers is the answer.
Snipers is the best answer.
Snipers.
Mr. Bansal, you agree with General Bhatia that snipers ultimately are the answer when it comes to, going ahead and, scoring maybe some points over the enemy and also trying to demoralize their troops?
There is no doubt about it, but let me clarify here. And as you asked, why did it take so long? Because when you look at wartime requirements, I think the requirement of sniper and sniping rifles is in the pecking order, the requirement is way low down. Because when there is an open confrontation, a sniper does not contribute. But in this sort of a continuous nerve-wracking standoff which we are seeing on LOC, and which now I think the realization has dawned that will remain in foreseeable future. In that sort of a scenario, I think a sniping rifle's requirement raises many folds, because many of the heavier weapons or artillery guns or things like that which we may be requiring in times of war may not have that much of utility in this sort of a situation. So I think the realization has led to this sort of a thing, and that is where what General Bhatia said is important. Besides all the physical constraints which a sniper faces, I think his mental makeup also is a very, very important thing. Not every man who's impulsive or something can be a sniper. Sniper, as he said, has to be extremely patient. And I think with a longer range sniping weapon, which hopefully India is getting, should get in days to come, because this government is cognizant of the requirements of the armed forces and has gone a big way in fulfilling the critical shortfalls that existed in the inventory of the armed forces. Hopefully, we should get a long-range, state-of-the-art sniping weapon very soon. And that would give us that edge over our enemy. And I think Pakistanis thereafter would think twice, not twice, but probably 10 times before violating ceasefire and indulging in ghastly acts that they have been indulging in recent past, where we saw some of our junior commissioned officers being sniped at and killed. I think in a manner which is deplorable.
Okay. Ajay, when we're talking about the replacement for Dragunov and, the RFP was issued earlier as well, you pointed out this time around, what are the options we are looking at? Because General Bhatia pointed out that we are looking at a, range of around 2,000 meters. Maybe we might not use that much range, but for a standoff situation like this, we need to have that much.
Vishal, I think the army is looking at the moment the best available, which is available to us without any fetters. That means there is nobody holding you back, that you can't use for this, you can't use for that. Possibly 2-3 countries which make these sniper rifles are in the fray, and their companies are already in the fray. And I think we'll choose the best. That goes without saying. I don't think so we'll be restricted by geopolitical scenario on this, because this is too small a thing. And secondly, for the benefit of the viewers, the sniper is an art, because we're talking about sniper and art. 2 Hollywood films define it the best. There's a movie called The Enemy at the Gates. Yes. It's about a real life incident about how a man holds back.
Well, I'm sure most of our viewers would have watched it.
Yeah, it's hold back. And there's another movie made recently about Behind Enemy Lines. Again, sniper is used very effectively. All are true incidents. The utility of a sniper in a true incident can be seen in these movies. Just a weapon, 2 people, and how they can hold back large body of troops of the enemy. So that is the importance of the rifle. So when this rifle comes in, I'm sure it'll change the dynamics along the LC. That is very important at the moment. How it will be used in war, it's a long shot away. But immediate requirement at the LC, we need these weapons, and I'm sure Indian Army is looking at the best, Vishal.
Okay. General Bhatia, final word from you in terms of, the kind of weapon we were looking at. You already said the 2,000 meter is the range we're looking at. One, whenever we are importing weapons, we also look for some sort of transfer of technology as well, because we would want to have these weapons in the longer run as well, and maybe improve upon them in one way or the other. So is that also an option open here? Because this is going to be a long haul.
Yeah, we are looking at about 5,000 plus weapons, about 6,000 weapons, 5,719 as you said. What happens is that, the quantity is too little actually. So the transfer technology, we want transfer technology, we want make in India, but the companies which own the technology, the OEMs, that's the original equipment manufacturer, they're not interested in transfer technology for such small numbers. What we need to do is get the technology, make in India, and then export. Because the same weapon which is being, made in India would be less costly than if you're going to make it somewhere else. Because, things are much, cheaper in India to make. So we should look at transfer technology, make in India, not only for the Indian Army, the Indian Armed Forces, but also for export purposes. Okay. So you when you go for transfer technology, you should also have a tie-up with the company that will make in India, and then we'll give it to you at a cheaper cost, and either you can sell it outside or we can export it directly outside. There are, of course, legalities which can come through, but this is manageable. It's not manageable.
Okay. Mr. Bansal, is that, you agree with that? That might be one of the options?
So what we need to do is, because unlike other defense procurement where we have the numbers which help us to get the transfer of technology, in this particular case, what we could probably try is that get a certain friendly neighborhood nations and give a collective order, maybe probably bring them, and then probably that would probably draw in a company to set up a base here and set up a making facilities. Because once it has a certain confirmed order, probably a foreign company would be interested in coming to India, because cost of production, once it is assured of a thing, would be probably cheaper. But for that, we have to create that enabling environment for the foreign companies to come here and set up base.
Okay, wonderful. So as our panelists have pointed out, that is what is called the art of sniping, and how snipers are going to be very effective.